Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question, if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Tonight on The Late Show Live, is it about time after these bombshell Andrew revelations that the Duke of York was sent to the Tower of London? And I've also spent one of the most humbling days of my life in Philadelphia. Hello, good evening. Breaking on The Late Show Live tonight, bombshell, explosive revelations about Prince Andrew's links to Jeffrey Epstein. It just gets worse, including claims, get this, that could prove the late Queen's favourite son lied in his infamous Newsnight interview with Emily Maitlis. I'll be joined by the editor-at-large of the Mail on Sunday, who have this world exclusive. Also tonight,
my thanks to President Trump for his leadership on this, to the Qataris, to Egypt and Turkey, who've done really important work in the negotiations.
Britain on the bench. Downing Street tonight confirming the Prime Minister will attend Monday's peace summit, but as President Trump leads from the front, is Britain now just a spare part? Well, good riddance after Lost Prophets singer Ian Watkins dies in prison while serving time for child sex offences. The big question now is, should we still listen to music from disgraced artists? And of course, we're live in Washington, DC, just yards from the White House, bringing you the stories America's talking about and that matter to Britain, including this. So he's literally trying to kind of just stand up still, right? Because he's high, he's coming up.
Yeah, he might not even know what he's doing.
They're one of the most humbling days of my life today. Entire streets littered with drug addicts, people slumped over like pretzels. It's a scene straight out of a nightmare. I'll bring you my exclusive report from the front line of America's drug crisis. Also tonight,
Donald Trump engaged in deceptive business practices and tremendous fraud. Donald Trump falsely, knowingly inflated his net worth by billions of dollars to unjustly enrich himself, his family, and to cheat the system.
The tables have turned, eh? Trump's lawfare revenge. She was President Trump's fiercest critic and the Democrat who dragged him through the courts. But tonight, the New York Attorney General, Letitia James, is the one who's been indicted. We'll also be diving headfirst into the stories from tomorrow's newspapers, hours before they hit the shelves, back in Blighty. I don't think there's going to be anyone in Philly who's beating me on these steps today. I'm offering everyone out. It was a little bit of fun today. I took on the Rocky Challenge on Philadelphia's famous steps to City Hall, even going head-to-head with a US-Uruguayan boxer. But can you guess who came out on top? Was it Britain or America? I'm Ben Leo. This is The Late Show Live, and your night's just getting started. Hello to you, good evening, thank you for your company. Some breaking bombshell news this evening, because according to reports in the Mail on Sunday tomorrow, Prince Andrew secretly told paedophile Jeffrey Epstein, quote, "We are in this together," and said he was concerned about the impact of the newspaper's revelations when they published a photo of him with his alleged victim. It's also reported the message was sent 12 weeks after the Duke was meant to have ceased contact with Epstein. And I'll say tonight, if this is true, it would be definitive proof that the late Queen's favourite son lied in that infamous BBC Newsnight interview with Emily Maitlis when he claimed he never had any contact with Jeffrey Epstein.
Well, I ceased contact with him after I was aware that he was under investigation, and that was later on in 2006.
Well, he may be sweating profusely tonight, if that's at all possible, with Prince Andrew, because in a further extraordinary revelation, the messages from 2011 also reportedly read, quote, "Keep in touch and we'll play some more soon." Dear, oh dear. So where do the royal family go from here? Is it time to strip the Duke of York of his remaining royal titles. Let's get more now with the editor-at-large for the Mail on Sunday, Charlotte Griffith. Charlotte, good evening. It was your paper that's breaking this massive world exclusive today in the Mail on Sunday. I'd go further, not just strip him of his titles, Charlotte, send him to the Tower of London, kick him out of Royal Lodge in Great Windsor Park and tell him to do one.
Well, I think you're certainly right about the Royal Lodge. I don't know if we could send him to the Great Tower, but the other thing I realised in the report in the Mail on Sunday today, which I'd forgotten about, is that he's still a Knight of the Garter, which is, as we know from his email to Epstein, he writes on the end of his email signature. So that's got to go. He was given that in 2006. But certainly, the King's indulged his brother in recent years. He's allowed Fergie back into the fold. That went terribly badly because recently there have been emails saying that she called Jeffrey a supreme friend. Now we've got Andrew telling Epstein, let's play together soon. We've got proof, really, this is proof that he lied in Newsnight. And also, it puts paid to his claim that this is a fake photo, because you would never, if I was in Andrew's shoes, I wouldn't write to Epstein, oh dear, we're in this together. I'd say, there's a fake photo. How has this come out? This photo was never taken. But he didn't say that, did he? He said, we're in this together. It seems this is our kind of story that will unfold at the same time. And he didn't say to Epstein, no, but it's not real. So I think you're right that he does have to be cut off because he is dragging the monarchy down. This email exposes so much more than maybe even he will realise at this point, because we all know he puts the blinkers on when he has to.
This is so embarrassing, Charlotte, for the monarchy, for the King, for Prince William, the family. Have we heard from Andrew tonight on this? And where does this leave him? Where does it leave the King?
There was no comment from Andrew. If I had to predict what was going on behind the scenes, I'd say this leaves the King in a very sticky situation with his son, Prince William, because Prince William is of the opinion that Andrew has to go, has to be cut off. I expect when William eventually becomes king, that's probably one of the first things he'll do. And we know that recently Andrew was allowed to go to the Duchess of Kent's funeral, at which point he barged his way to the front of most of the pictures, tried to speak to Prince William in camera shot, with all the world's cameras in front of him, which was hugely embarrassing to William. And William did everything he could to avoid him. And really, what Charles has to say is this man cannot come to public engagements, even if it is a funeral, like I think these the clips you're showing now. Even if it is a funeral, he can't be there. He can't be at family Christmas, which I think is going to happen. I think he will be cut off from Christmas. He can't be in Royal Lodge. There's always this excuse Andrew has, which is that he's got the lease on Royal Lodge. But there has to be a way to cut him out of, or to get him out of Royal Lodge, because it's more sort of proof, really, that he's part of the royal fold. And that's exactly what they don't need, because this email is going to be the first of many, I think.
So with regards to King Charles, I mean, Prince William seems, you mentioned that clip there where a few weeks ago, a month ago, when Andrew was trying to talk to William, William did not look impressed at all, pretty much blanking his disgraced uncle. I say fair play to William. First of all, has William played this shrewdly? Has he played this quite well? Could he see maybe what was coming down the track? And secondly, does it put the royal family as a whole, the monarchy, in a difficult position when it comes to how they handle this? Because I guess if they do close ranks and try and protect Andrew, again, I'd say in the case of the late Queen's approach, she was reportedly, she paid that £12 million fee, out of court settlement for Andrew. If they close ranks, I guess they'll be accused of harbouring a disgraced man, let's just call it that. So are they in a bit of a sticky situation with public perception when it comes to how they respond to this?
They're in a really sticky situation because Charles doesn't want to cut off his brother, because Charles himself is not very well. We know he's in a very conciliatory mood because he's met with Prince Harry recently. So he wants to do, I suppose, what a brother would do, which is maintain good relations, while he's ill with cancer, essentially. But actually, he has to do what his mother was actually quite good at doing, which is being the head of a firm. And as the head of the firm, this guy's got to go. It's a sackable offence. He's sending these emails to a disgraced paedophile. He's lying on Newsnight. The £12 million that you mentioned just then actually now seems like a complete waste of money, because it doesn't exonerate him at all, especially now that he sent this email. So it's a really tricky situation, because I think Charles wants to rule with the heart, but has to rule with the head. And that's always a problem for the monarch because, at the end of the day, the firm is the face of the royal family internationally.
Yeah, what an embarrassment. What an embarrassment. Charlotte, props to you. Great story for the Mail on Sunday today. It's going to be a cracker. Looking forward to reading the full details. You'll be joining me again later on in the show to go through the rest of the papers, so hang tight, grab a coffee or something a bit stronger. Joining me in Washington, D.C. Is my panel, political commentator Hilary Forbich and the Deputy US Editor of the Daily Telegraph, Connor Stringer. Good evening, panel. Hilary, your thoughts, please. This is pretty bombshell for not just Andrew and his future, but I'd argue the state of the monarchy, the future of the monarchy as well.
Yes, absolutely. And I think the rule here is a leopard doesn't change its stripes. When somebody has done something ghastly, it is in character for them to do something ghastly again. It is not surprising that he has lied.
He denies it.
This is right, but this is in character. This is in character, and that's what we have to look to. And this is something that the monarchy simply cannot tolerate.
Yeah, Connor, your thoughts?
Absolutely, echo exactly what Hilary said. I mean, goodness me, well, just when you think it can't get any worse, it seems to with Prince Andrew. It's it's allegation after allegation, email after email. I mean, where do we go from here? Like you say, is it stripping his titles? But the letter of the law is basically that he is becoming an embarrassment to our family and Britain.
All right, send him to the Tower of London. Let's speak to former Liberal Democrat Minister Norman Baker. Norman, good evening, good morning. Should he be sent to the Tower of London, Norman?
Well, I don't think about the Tower of London, but he should certainly be excommunicated, as it were, from the royal family, because he is an embarrassment to himself, he's an embarrassment to the royal family, he's an embarrassment to Britain. That's the reality of the situation. And he can't be trusted, he can't believe a word this man says. It's not simply the revelation, well done in the Mail on Sunday, by the way, for what they found out. It's not simply that, but go back to that Newsnight interview. He was saying he went to cut off relations with Jeffrey Epstein by going to New York. I mean, that's a lot of nonsense, isn't it? If you want to cut off relations with someone, you simply don't speak to them, or you send them an email saying, go away. You don't go and have 4 or 5 days in a special penthouse flat and with a slap-up meal in your honour. I mean, the whole thing is absolute nonsense. And we know it's nonsense. And what we do know, of course, is that Andrew and Fergie have been keeping contact with Epstein after they said they'd broken it off. As late as 2015, I think, while the revelations that have occurred recently. So the man needs to go. He needs to be removed from Royal Lodge, which is a 30-bedroom house with huge number of acres. There's him at one end of the building and Fergie at the other, rattling around. He shouldn't be in that prestigious building. He shouldn't be having the ability to call himself HRH, which he still does. He shouldn't be the member of the Royal Garter. That should be removed as well. There was an opinion poll in the papers just 2 months ago when YouGov had a poll, and 67% said he should be removed of his remaining titles. And that's before all this came out. And another poll which was carried out showed that he was the least popular member of the royal family. Only 5% approved of him. I mean, the striking question for me there is, who are these 5% who still back him?
Yeah, well, Norman, the FBI ended their probe officially into Prince Andrew I think it was June this year. Do you think there's any reason for them to maybe reopen that in light of this, or do you reckon they would have known about this kind of, well, I guess they would have known that he lied in this Newsnight interview?
Well, I mean, look, not just the FBI, but what's happened to Scotland Yard, because at the time he's alleged to have committed an offence with Victoria Giuffre, Virginia Giuffre, in this country. That was a time when the official policy of Scotland Yard was to believe people who made allegations, automatically to believe them. That was rightly or wrongly, that was a policy at the time. And yet he was not given the same treatment as, say, Russell Brand was when allegations were made against him. So he squirreled his way out of these things so far. But the other thing, Ben, is this. If you as a member of Parliament get yourself in a situation like this, you can be removed by the electorate in the next election, or you can be subject to a recall petition during a parliament and have your seat taken away from you. That doesn't happen to members of the royal family. They're still members of the royal family, whether that happens or not. And the only answer, therefore, is for the king to take action to remove him, because when every member of parliament takes their seat in the House of Commons, they take an oath to the king, to his heirs and successors. Well, his heirs and successors include Prince Andrew, because Prince Andrew is still, I think, 8th in line to the throne.
Sure. OK, I'm just going to remind viewers what's been breaking tonight. It is bombshell. It's massive in my book. It's a huge story in the Mail on Sunday. So these emails obtained by the Mail on Sunday show that Prince Andrew emailed Jeffrey Epstein these revelations, one from 2011 saying, keep in touch and we'll play some more. I don't know what we'll play some more means, but I can imagine. Another one says, we are in this together. This was after the publication of those pictures. So according to the Mail on Sunday, it proves definitively that Prince Andrew lied in that infamous interview on Newsnight with Emily Maitlis. Our panel are here now, Hilary Fordwich, Connor Stringer. Would you like to have a chat or question with Norman Baker? Hilary, ladies
yes,
first.
actually, one of the things I'd like to ask is with regard to him being the Duke of York. What about the city of York? I do understand that there is a movement there to actually have York removed even from his title because the city doesn't want to be associated with him anymore. Where does that stand?
Well, that's true. There's people in York who don't want that. I think the council, from memory, passed a motion to try to secure that. The local MP has been trying to secure that as well. It's actually quite complicated. I think it requires an act of Parliament to remove someone and to remove their title and to remove a member of the House of Lords, as a matter of fact, because it's not an honour in the same way as, say, an OBE or an MBE is. It's something else, and it requires that to be done through a parliamentary act. So that's going to be complicated to do that. I think the order of the Garter you can probably get rid of quite quickly. You can certainly move them from Royal Lodge. But the idea of removing this dukedom is most complicated, and it's very rare if you think about it, how many members of the House of Lords have their peerages removed. I mean, they tend to be shamed and retire themselves, which of course Andrew's got no shame, but they don't have their titles removed. So that's going to be quite complicated, I'm afraid.
Norman, Connor here. What has Andrew actually got to do next? I mean, it seems like embarrassing email after embarrassing email. He's surfacing to the public light despite actually being relatively reclusive. What's your piece of advice to him? Does he just settle down and move out the Royal Lodge and go about his business? Or what can he actually do next?
Well, I mean, look, go back to something like, say, John Profumo in the scandal in the 1960s. What he did when all that blew up was to retire from public life and devote himself to helping charities and to reinstate himself to some extent with the public through quietness, silence and good acts for charities. There's no indication Andrew's going to do that. Andrew continues to be very arrogant and rude to anybody he comes into contact with. There was a story in the papers just about a month ago where he came out of his Royal Lodge and found some workmen, quite rightly, because they were under duty to do so, putting down some traffic calming measures in Windsor Great Park. And, you know, they were just following orders as they were. And he launched into this four-letter tirade to them as to what they were doing. In my book, which is coming out next month, Royal Mint National Debt, I go through some of what the people who work for the palace have said about him. I mean, some of the servants who work in the palace find him the most objectionable person and actually find it quite intimidating to go and work for him. One of them, in fact, was called upstairs to his rooms to open the curtains. He was sitting next to the curtains, and he called someone up 3 flights of stairs to open the curtains. This is the sort of man we're dealing with.
Norman, is this a political issue for the government, Keir Starmer? Is there any realm which the Prime Minister would need to get involved or make a statement or even privately speak to King Charles?
Well, I mean, obviously, going back a very long time, there's a tradition whereby the Prime Minister talks to the monarch, generally on a Wednesday every week. And I'm sure that's happening now between the Prime Minister and the King, as it would do with any other Prime Minister and any other monarch. So I'm sure this will occur. I mean, the Prime Minister will want to keep as far away from this as possible because he doesn't want to get involved in royal matters. But what he might be doing is saying to the King gently, look, it's in your interest to try and do something about this because it's damaging the monarchy in quite a big way. So you may offer that advice privately to the King. I would expect him to do so.
And you know what? It's also hugely embarrassing for Britain. We had the Mandelson situation here in DC a few weeks ago. He went back to the UK with his tail between his legs. You know, I don't know what's going on there, but it's embarrassing to say the least. That's an understatement. Then you've got Prince Andrew, you know, the late Queen's favourite son. It's just grubby, it's murky, it makes the country look a bit of a mess, actually, to be honest with you. Norman Baker, thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Former Liberal Democrat minister and friend of the channel. Let me just remind you, viewers, if you're tuning in now to this bombshell piece of news from the Mail on Sunday, let's get that Mail on Sunday front page back up. It's a world exclusive, breaking tomorrow. It'll be on your shelves in your newsagent tomorrow. World exclusive. The day after we published the infamous picture of Prince Andrew and his accuser that he wants us to believe is fake. And long after he claims to have cut ties with convicted paedophile Jeffrey Epstein, they have obtained a very revealing email. Andrew to Epstein said, "We are in this together." In the astonishing message, Andrew said he was concerned about the impact of the Mail on Sunday's revelations to do with the publication of that picture that they'd have on his friend, but reassured the vile billionaire paedophile that the pair would, quote, rise above press scrutiny. It was sent, and this is key, it was sent to Epstein 12 weeks after Andrew had supposedly ceased all contact with the convicted sex offender. The leaked email, according to the Mail on Sunday, provides definitive proof that the Duke lied in his interview with the BBC's Emily Maitlis on Newsnight when he claimed he'd never had any contact with Epstein after the publication, after he was convicted of sex crimes. So there we go. I mean, this is huge for not just Prince Andrew, it's huge for the monarchy, it's huge for King Charles. His response is going to be heavily scrutinised now. GB News, of course, has contacted the Duke of York's team for comment on these allegations breaking tonight, but we're yet to hear back. Prince Andrew's previously denied any wrongdoing. Let me know your thoughts on that. gbnews.com/your say. I can see all the messages flooding in. Yes, Cludy, you've said perhaps the king is reluctant to treat his brother a tad more harshly over this scandal because it's his little brother. And they go on and on. And I have to say, if Harry and Meghan, of course they've behaved treacherously and, sordidly by airing the family's dirty laundry in public, even calling somebody unknown in the royal family racist, just hanging that carrot there with Oprah. They were stripped of their HRH titles, or at least told not to use them. Surely now Prince Andrew should be stripped of his titles, at least. Right, we'll stick with this throughout the show. Still ahead on The Late Show Live.
I don't think there's going to be anyone in Philly who's beating me on these steps today. I'm offering everyone out.
A little bit of fun in the next segment of the show. I took to the streets of Philadelphia today and take on the Rocky Challenge. Remember that from the film Running Up the Steps of City Hall? But who comes out on top? I raced a few Americans from bottom to top. Who won, do you reckon? Britain or America? But next.
So he's literally trying to kind of just stand up still, right? Because he's high, he's coming up.
Yeah, he might not even know what he's doing.
Exclusive report from the front line of America's drug crisis, and ask the big question is what's going on here in America with the likes of fentanyl and the opioid crisis? Is that soon coming to our doorstep, particularly with the likes of Scotland, the drug death capital of Europe, and our drug consumption rooms? That's next on The Late Show Live. Back in a sec.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello, welcome back to the Late Show Live. Thank you for your company and indeed your emails on gbnews.com/your say. Lots of you getting in touch on Prince Andrew, of course. Glynis, good evening. You've said, Ben, the late Queen stopped Andrew using his HRH title. Yes, that is true. My argument is that he should be stripped of the title completely, which, according to Norman Baker, can only be done through legislation in Parliament. I think he should be absolutely stripped of it, and we should table some laws to do so. And dark days ahead. Nice username. Good evening. You've said, as much as I can't stand Andrew, I'd be interested to know who keeps leaking these emails and why all the heat is on Andrew when we're not hearing anything about the top Democrats and politicians in America who visited Epstein Island many times, including the likes of Bill Clinton being one of them. Why is all the focus on Andrew and nothing on any of those top US politicians? Keep them coming in. gbnews.com/your say. Right, let's move on, because Kensington Avenue in Philadelphia, just under 3 miles from where the Declaration of Independence was signed 250 years ago next year in 2026, well, it's now become the epicentre of Philadelphia's opioid crisis. In fact, the neighbourhood is now better known for being home to America's largest open-air drug market. I visited Kensington Avenue in Philadelphia earlier today, where I bring you this exclusive report. Daniel here for the Late Show Live on GB News in Kensington Avenue in Philadelphia, home to one of the most infamous and, I'd argue, saddest parts of the United States, a public health crisis where drugs absolutely riddle the city. This place is littered with drug addicts, homeless people who have found themselves in a desperate crisis of addiction. I'm going to go and try and speak to some of them, find out their stories and see if they have any hope for the future and how it relates to the UK, particularly drug consumption rooms in the likes of Scotland, where people are allowed legally to congregate and consume drugs in a so-called safe manner.
So he's literally trying to kind of just stand up still, right? Because he's high, he's coming up.
Yeah, he might not even know what he's doing. You know what I mean?
Is he okay?
Yeah, he looks like.
Well, what's your name?
Jimmy.
I'm Ben.
Yes, Stephen.
Nice, yeah. You like my accent? Yeah. Could you tell I'm English?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Been out here for 30 years.
30 years?
I'm in L.
You've been using for 30 years?
Yes, sir.
And what are you using? Sort of fentanyl?
Very embarrassing. Let me tell you that. Yes, fentanyl, the crank. It's horrible. It's very, very hard to get off of it. It's so scary to be sick. It is a feeling that I can't even describe to you. It's very embarrassed to say that I've been out here that long.
You say you feel embarrassed?
To be out here that long, to say that, yeah, it's at least my whole life when I'm proud. Like,
how old are you?
I'm 47.
Who hands the stuff out? Is it charities and things?
Yeah, it's charity. Yeah, they come by every day. They come by every Saturday.
That's good, isn't it? It's nice to see people still caring.
Oh, yeah. They call it enabling. I don't call it enabling. I call it helping somebody out.
So I just figured if I can't be oil, and that was really friggin' dumb.
You had a you just had a needle on you. Can we have a look at it? Is it a clean needle? You use clean needles?
Every time, yes. I don't.
Yeah. Can we have a look? The city dish out clean needles to make sure they're not sharing needles, not getting viruses and so on and diseases. Jeff, you seem quite on the ball. You're quite with it. Are you surprised you ended up here?
Well, I used to be a real estate agent. I had 35 rental properties down here.
You owned 35 rental properties?
Millionaire, all that stuff.
You were a millionaire?
Yeah.
Where did all the equity money go? Did you just spend it on drugs?
No, I was in jail, and the trustee for the bank, and I had filed bankruptcy right before all that happened.
This is the
You guys are doing God's work, right? Literally.
That's right, literally. We out here serving the people, praying over them. We have our elder Tiffany right here. We have our minister Josh, our minister Annie, our mother Teresa right here.
Mother Teresa. Yeah, baby.
Trying to get clean.
You look sad, man. You look like you use some help.
Yes. Maybe going to rehab soon.
How long have you been down here?
3.5 years. Been using drugs since I was 13.
Wow.
Started with pot, and then went to cocaine and then heroin.
I'll be honest, that was just a little flavour of what I experienced today. We couldn't bring you the whole story, obviously, but if you look online, GB News YouTube and social media later on in the week, there'll be a much longer version. And I have to say, I'll be honest with you, it was one of the most humbling days of my life. It was sad, it was tragic, it was confusing. And as I said before, these aren't just people who decided to go and get high for fun and ended up in addiction. Some of these people, as that chap there said, they used to work, they had proper jobs before. There was one lady I spoke to previously in San Francisco who was earning 400 grand a year, and she was given a very strong opioid after a C-section. She ended up losing her job, she got addicted to fentanyl, lost her babies, she had no contact with her children. It's just tragic. So Eyes Peeled later on in the week on GB News YouTube for the longer version, but that was just a little flavour. Joining me in Washington DC now is my panel, the political commentator Hilary Fordwich and the Deputy US Editor of the Daily Telegraph, Connor Stringer. Hello, you two. Welcome along. Hilary, you were just watching that, and tell me what you said. You were commenting.
Well, I just feel that, just like you do, I think it's immensely tragic. I don't think there's anybody who's ever gotten up any morning and who's ever said, I think I want to turn to drugs and I want to destroy my life and I think I want to be a loser on the streets. These are people who've suffered from something. I'm not using it as an excuse. I think there's a lot of culpability here. Where? What about the drug companies, the opioid company, the companies that have actually obviously supported the pharmaceutical companies? A lot of them have had lawsuits against them because the opioids are addictive, and of course the southern border, when all this fentanyl has come across our border. So there are a lot of people who are culpable for this.
Yeah, and Connor, the reason I wanted to show our viewers and listeners that today was because I think it's quite pertinent to what's happening in the UK, with particularly in Scotland, which we all know is the drug deaths capital of Europe. There are drug consumption rooms in Scotland where people, users, can congregate, openly take drugs with clean needles, as the city of Philadelphia is doing. I had that lady, Jeanette her name was, she was a lovely lady, very sweet, battle-hardened after being on the streets for 30 years, but a very sweet lady. You get clean needles. Yep. So, A, will this be on our doorstep in a few years? And B, does that kind of approach, giving the clean needles, giving them even methadone, etc., is that the kind of approach we need?
Well, I think we should look at America and Philly and other, cities in the States as a case study as what can happen when you enable this kind of stuff. I mean, often these cases, drugs are given out, are decriminalised, are given out for free, needles, etc., that end up, I appreciate they're supposed to try and aid and make this kind of done in a safe manner, but completely end up exacerbating the situation and making it a million times worse. This should be an example to Britain. I hope everybody watches on, especially those in government, to show what can happen if you take this to the extreme like it's been done over here.
You know what they say, the two most profitable industries are sickness and war, and that explains everything. This comes from the pharmaceutical industry.
I mean, I have to say, the opioid crisis here in the States is just insane. People, as I said, the woman from Amazon, 400k a year, didn't need oxycodone or whatever the very powerful drug is. She could have had a paracetamol.
Yeah, she got addicted.
And she was hooked. Her life absolutely ruined.
Yes.
Thank you to the people of Philadelphia for welcoming me today. As I said, the longer version will be on YouTube, GB News socials later on in the week, and I encourage you to see it because it humbled me, and I'm sure it will you too. Right, coming up on The Late Show Live.
I've questioned myself as to why did I go, what was I doing, and was it the right thing?
What to do with the disgraced Duke of York? I say strip him of his HRH titles, kick him out Royal Lodge, and the King needs to get tough. More on that in the papers very shortly, but also tonight.
What's brought you all the way here?
To free Palestine. Where are you guys from?
We're GB News.
Are you? Oh dear.
Pro-Palestine protests continue across both sides of the Atlantic, but what exactly are they protesting for now? I thought it was all done.
Right,
Ceasefire,
yes.
hostages released. What are they protesting about now? Find out after the break.
I'm Michael Portillo. This is GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Cates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dordme, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Stephen Dixon, and thanks for joining us on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I don't think there's going to be anyone in Philly who's beating me on these steps today. I'm offering everyone out.
Welcome back to The Late Show Live. I'm Ben Leo. I was in Philadelphia earlier today taking on the Rocky Challenge. Do you remember from the film Rocky where he sprinted up the stairs of the Philadelphia City Hall? Anyway, I did the same today and I challenged loads of Americans to race me. Who do you reckon won? It's kind of like my version of the Ryder Cup. Was it Britain or the USA? Find out very, very shortly. But now let's take a look at some of the newspaper front pages hitting the shelves in Blighty tomorrow, starting with the big one. It's the biggest story in town. World exclusive, the Mail on Sunday. The day after the Mail published a photo of Prince Andrew and his accuser, and long after he claimed to have cut ties with the disgraced paedophile Jeffrey Epstein, Prince Andrew said to Epstein in an email, "We are in this together." The Sun tomorrow. Andrew emailed Epstein after he'd cut ties, days after the infamous Virginia Giuffre picture emerged. And the Daily Express tomorrow. Rachel Reeves apparently eyeing a £7 billion pensions tax raid in a fresh blow for working people while bills soar. Yes, I mean, Chancellor Rachel Reeves, can this government not think on their feet, think of how to make money creatively, maybe with a bit of drive, bit of entrepreneurship, instead of raiding everybody's tax bills and bank accounts? The Daily Telegraph reports tomorrow that the Sunday Telegraph reports that the Chancellor is plotting to tax the rich Of course she is, to fill the black hole. The Sunday Mirror splashes with a report of the death of paedophile Lost Profits frontman Ian Watkins, who was stabbed to death in prison. Oh well, that's a shame. It does raise a nice, interesting debate though, which we'll discuss very shortly. Should you be allowed to listen to the likes of, Lost Profits, Michael Jackson, R. Kelly, P. Diddy, Gary Glitter, bearing in mind their crimes and reputations, or should they be consigned to the dustbin of history? We'll be debating that next. And the Washington Post reports that more than 1,000 CDC staff will receive layoff notices during the government shutdown. The CDC, of course, is the Centre for Disease Control and Prevention. And the New York Post, Hollywood legend Diane Keaton has sadly died, aged 79. The legendary star, of course, of Annie Hall and Father of the Bride. She's died aged 79. Let me know your thoughts on those front pages. gbnews.com/your say. Charlotte Griffith joins me again now, the editor-at-large of the Mail on Sunday. She is the brains behind the operation in London's Derry Street, which has delivered this absolutely bombshell story on Prince Andrew. Charlotte, tell us more about it, please. Have we had any update yet from Andrew? Has he piped up and said anything?
No, I don't think Andrew's going to say anything. I do think possibly the next thing we hear could be something from the palace, something from Charles, some sort of... He needs to do something, do some sort of gesture to acknowledge that actually, because this isn't the only email. Actually, we've had Fergie's email recently saying that she considers Epstein a supreme friend. It feels to me like more emails will come. And obviously this has actually just been going on for years and years and years, not just months. So I really think the next thing we hear from Buckingham Palace needs to be something, just some sort of acknowledgement that this is not acceptable for the monarchy, which is the face of Britain across the world.
Charlotte, obviously I'd never ask you to reveal your sources, but Heather on gbnews.com/your say has questioned these leaks. She said, I agree with your other viewer. Who is leaking this news, re Prince Andrew? We'd all be interested to know. It seems to me that the source is very keen to reveal all and sun-dry about Andrew, but what about Mandelson? And then Starmer, who lied to us saying he didn't know the extent of the Mandelson situation. All complete lies, but again, it seems to have gone all quiet. Again, I'm not going to ask you for your sources, but I mean, is there some sort of distraction going on? It does seem quite canny that Fergie's emails were released as well.
Well, the thing is, there's 18,000 emails in Epstein's account, and they're slowly coming out originally it was via Bloomberg, and then obviously the US Oversight Committee has been processing a lot of his documents over time. I slightly disagree with the first comment that came in just before the ad break, because she said, oh, how come nobody else is being implicated? But we actually had just yesterday Tony Blair as well. I mean, he just had a very brief meeting with Epstein, but there are other names that are coming up. Obviously, Bill Clinton. We know Bill Clinton was on the Lolita Express, which was Epstein's private jet. But I have to say, I mean, one common thing they have in common, Epstein and Andrew, was they both felt they were completely above the law. You know, in this latest email, Andrew says, oh, we can rise above this. So I just wonder whether actually it could be that Andrew was just the most prolific of the emailers, of the people he stayed in contact with Epstein, the most dedicated to visiting his New York apartment. And, you know, they shared one thing in common, really, which was, you know, this love of being around girls, many of them. And, you know, especially Virginia Giuffre. And I find it astonishing seeing this photo and finally realising, after all these years, that, you know, and the Mail on Sunday's been saying this for years, that it's just not a fake, you know, no matter what he wanted us to believe. It's just not a fake, because he wouldn't have emailed Epstein and said, oh, look, now the photo's out, looks like we're in this together. He would have said, oh, this is a fake photo, do you know where it came from?
Yeah, and Charlotte, of course, Virginia Giuffre, Andrew's accuser, I mean, she's not with us anymore. She died, was it last year? So she's not even around to kind of, you know, if what she said was true and she received a payout from Andrew, I think it was around £12 million, courtesy of the Queen, the late Queen, who reportedly helped with that. She isn't around now to see all these new developments and to see that Andrew has, according to your paper, lied and been caught with his pants down lying in that Newsnight interview. I mean, is that, what's your thoughts, what's your take on that? I mean, it all seems a bit tragic and sad.
Yeah, I wonder if she was alive, whether she would have felt vindicated by this latest tranche of emails, because you know, Andrew trashed her on Newsnight and sort of belittled her and said, oh, she was nobody, I don't even remember meeting her, I don't remember the photo being taken. And she spent, you know, a lot of her later years in life sort of wanting to be heard, really. So I think it's very sad that she tragically took her own life.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, OK. Charlotte, Prince William seems to me, I said to you at the top of the show, he seems to have played this whole Andrew situation very, very shrewdly indeed. You mentioned yourself at the top of the show that clip that was doing the rounds recently of Andrew trying to make small talk with William, and he just looked absolutely disgusted with his uncle. You could tell he didn't want to speak to him. He was kind of grimacing and pulling some faces, which made him look a bit silly, Prince Andrew, because it was clear William wanted nothing to do with him. Do you get the feeling Prince William maybe expected more of this Epstein link scandal to come out regarding his uncle?
Do you think he thinks there's more to come? I think he probably does, yeah. And I think that's why, you know, particularly at the event you just mentioned, it was so embarrassing to watch because William spoke to Andrew from the back of his hand. So he covered his face with his hand, because he's so aware, William, of the cameras, of the press, how they operate. He didn't even want a lip reader to take any footage of him talking to his uncle, and he didn't want to even be pictured looking like he was talking to his uncle. So that's the level of disdain William has for his uncle. And in recent years, Charles strongly encouraged him to do things like drive his uncle to the church at Sandringham for Christmas, and other embarrassing things. And what we were hearing behind the scenes was that William didn't want to do these things, but his dad leaned on him, said, no, it's a show of unity, you must drive your uncle to church. And apparently William was furious, and you can see from those photos he's got a face like thunder as well. So I do think... Well
done to William.
When William's king,
William seems like he's got sorry to interrupt, Charlotte. I was just going to say, William seems like he's got a strong, sensible head on his shoulders, which is good for the future of the monarchy. I just hope King Charles now acts appropriately. What that means, I don't know. I mean, I suggest, first of all, kicking him out of Great Windsor Park. But Charlotte, thank you. You'll be back in the next hour. So that's Charlotte Griffith, the editor-at-large of the Mail on Sunday, responsible for that big bombshell story tonight. GB News has contacted the Duke of York's team for comment. He's yet to get back to us. He's, of course, previously denied all wrongdoing with regards to Epstein. Still ahead on The Late Show Live, the Sunday Mirror lead on the death of ex-Lost Profits frontman Ian Watkins after he was attacked and murdered in prison while serving time for child sex offences. We asked the broader question, should we boycott the music of disgraced singers? This is The Late Show Live, only on GB News.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens. Opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, this Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
It's the remix to Ignition. It's hot and fresh out the kitchen. Yeah. It's bad boy, baby.
Well, Gary Glitter can definitely do from that list. Michael Jackson, he was never convicted of any crime, and I'm a massive Jacko fan. But the big question is, they have become, those people, controversial figures, or at least disgraced in the case of some of them, after their death for various reasons. Today, Lost Prophets singer Ian Watkins was confirmed dead after being attacked in prison while serving a 29-year sentence for child sex offences. If you're not familiar with Lost Prophets, they're a sort of rock band from Wales some years ago, very popular at the time. But the big question is, should we avoid listening to music by disgraced artists, or is it possible to separate the art from the artist? Well, let's get the take of legendary music publicist Nick Stewart on this. Nick, I used to love Lost Prophets back in the day. They were one of my favourite bands, but I just can't listen to them now knowing what a monster Ian Watkins was, and on that point, good riddance to him. Is it okay to still listen to music of disgraced stars?
Good evening. Interesting, it's the art versus the artist, if you like, has been going on for centuries. Caravaggio was not exactly a plastered saint. I mean, you know, so we've had all the way through art and music and indeed cinema, we've had these situations where artists have behaved improperly, or in the case of Ian Watkins, despicably. It is interesting to note that the Lost Prophets, you said how fond of you are, they still have on Spotify 280,000 listeners a month. Michael Jackson, who came up on your clip, he has 55 million. So this is a case of censorship.
Yeah, but
it's a case of censorship.
Yeah,
and
but Nick, I don't put Jacko.
Go on.
Sorry to interrupt. There's a bit of a delay. Apologies. I don't put Michael Jackson in the same breadth as Ian Watkins, who was accused of some awful crimes. I mean, he wanted to. Yeah, I'm not going to go into it. Michael
Well, of course you
Jackson,
can't, because Michael Jackson was never committed of anything. That's the point. Michael Jackson was never committed, never went to court. Ian Watkins was in 2012, and immediately after he was convicted for those heinous crimes, the BBC, for example, refused to play his music. So the oxygen went out of the Lost Prophets. I think it's a very. I think there's a degree of censorship that is required, and it begins, funnily enough, at home.
Interesting. Nick, thank you for staying up late. Appreciate your contributions. We're a bit squeezed for time, but I appreciate it. Just before we go, Hillary's here, Connor's here. Hillary, would you still listen to disgraced artists? And I don't include Michael Jackson in that.
Right. Well, I think there's two things here. I think one thing is societal pressure. I do think that radio stations, the media should not play that music, because I think that we should actually disgrace them. And it's kind of like with mass murderers. They say in the US, instead of using the name, we should just use like ex-Columbine. Never use the
Jackson
name
in that?
of the mass murderer. And I think that we should no longer speak. I do think that we should use their name. He wasn't convicted, and it's not for me to pass judgment, but I think when someone is convicted, I do think we should not use their name and not play their music.
Connor, your thoughts?
I think completely banning them from history is maybe an extent. I mean, also some of these people, listening to music is not the same as endorsing a crime. You know, I think by listening to P. Diddy, if you're into that, not me personally, then you know, you're not by any way endorsing what he'd done. I do think there's an element of that, absolutely, of societal pressure and not being able to, shall we say, celebrate, you know, these art any more than what they should be, especially if they've been convicted of a crime. But I think we've got to separate the art from the
I think it's societal shunning is really important in certain instances.
OK, we've got 30 seconds left. Do you think Michael Jackson was a paedophile?
I can't pass judgment because I wasn't there. But
I would echo the same answer. I'm going to say no. From
come on, you two.
Circumstantial evidence says yes.
You absolute pair of fence sisters. I'm going to be controversial here. I don't think he was. I think he was a highly disturbed person with a messed up childhood. He told how he used to cry in the studio looking out the window to children playing in the playground. He wanted to be a kid. He was a bit weird.
And he was in the next bedroom with all his brothers having...
I don't think a paedophile would go on TV saying, I like sharing beds with kids. Back after the break on The Late Show Live, more on Prince Andrew and my race with the Americans in Philadelphia up those rocky steps. Back in a tick.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's a foggy start out there for some of us, but the sunshine will slowly break through as we go through the course of the day. Apart from in northern Scotland where it will stay pretty damp, so some outbreaks of light rain and drizzle perhaps here for much of the day, particularly for the Northern Isles. Quite cloudy for Northern Ireland as well, but largely dry. The best of the sunshine this afternoon across central and southern parts of Scotland, northern England, Wales and more southern parts of the UK having a much sunnier picture this afternoon compared to yesterday too. So after the early fog has cleared this morning, temperatures will lift in that sunshine up to 16, perhaps as high as 18 degrees Celsius by this afternoon, so feeling fairly pleasant with the light winds. It won't be quite as warm though across northern parts of Scotland where after a fairly cloudy and murky day with some bits and pieces of drizzle, it will be once again a cloudy evening. So here generally staying quite cloudy right the way through the course of the night. Some late sunshine for western parts of Scotland. Northern Ireland probably brightening up a little bit through the afternoon, but fairly cloudy skies here also into the evening. Clear skies though for Wales and western parts of England, at least as we go through Sunday evening. But gradually, as we go through the course of the coming night, we are going to see an area of cloud once again just returning from the North Sea, spreading its way westwards into western parts of England and Wales by the time we get to the early hours of Monday morning. So that cloud acting like a blanket, keeping temperatures from falling too low tonight. So lows of 8 to 11 degrees Celsius in the main towns and cities. But some patchy fog and some rural frost across parts of Scotland to begin the day on Monday morning. So here, away from the fog, probably the brightest conditions on Monday with some sunny spells and fairly nice and sunny conditions across parts of the far north of England too on Monday. Brightening up for Northern Ireland as well by the afternoon, but most of England and Wales having a slightly cooler and certainly a much gloomier picture on Monday compared to on Sunday. Temperatures down by a degree or so, but in the best of the sunshine, highs of 15 to 17 degrees Celsius.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it?
no,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Tom Harwood. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
On The Late Show Live tonight, the story that's rocking the monarchy. Prince Andrew accused of lying in his infamous Newsnight interview. Are we about to hear from Buckingham Palace? Hello, good morning. Breaking on The Late Show Live tonight, the bombshell explosive revelations about Prince Andrew's links to Jeffrey Epstein, including claims that could prove the late Queen's favourite son lied in that infamous Newsnight interview with Emily Maitlis. I'll be joined by the editor-at-large of the Mail on Sunday, who have this massive, huge, groundbreaking world exclusive. Also tonight,
my thanks to President Trump for his leadership on this, to the Qataris, to Egypt and Turkey, who've done really important work in the negotiations.
He's off on his hollybobs again, Downing Street tonight, confirming the Prime Minister will attend Monday's peace summit in Egypt. But as President Trump leads from the front, is Britain now just a spare part on the world stage? And of course, we're live in Washington, D.C., just yards from the White House, bringing you the stories America's talking about and that matter to Britain, including this one.
Donald Trump engaged in deceptive business practices and tremendous fraud. Donald Trump falsely, knowingly, inflated his net worth by billions of dollars to unjustly enrich himself, his family, and to cheat the system.
Oh, how the tables have turned. She's accused of doing the same thing. That lady there was President Trump's fiercest critic and the Democrat who dragged him through the courts. Well, tonight, the New York Attorney General, Letitia James, is the one indicted. We'll also be diving headfirst into the stories from tomorrow's newspapers, hours before they hit the shelves. I don't think there's going to be anyone in Philly who's beating me on these steps today. I'm offering everyone out. A little bit earlier today, I took on the Rocky Challenge on Philadelphia's famous steps, even going head-to-head with a US-Uruguayan boxer. Who won the race from bottom to top? I raced about 4 or 5 people. Britain or America? I'm Ben Leo. This is The Late Show Live, and welcome to the second hour, where the stories get hotter, the pace gets a little bit faster, and the brakes, yes, have been dropped. Don't go anywhere. Hello, good evening to you. Thanks for your company tonight. The breaking bombshell news this evening is that, according to reports in the Mail on Sunday, Prince Andrew, the Duke of York, secretly told paedophile Jeffrey Epstein, quote, "We are in this together," and said he was concerned about the impacts of the Mail on Sunday's news revelations when they published a photo of the Duke and his alleged victim. It's also reported that the message was sent 12 weeks after Andrew was meant to have ceased contact with Epstein. And if this is true, it would be definitive proof that the late Queen's favourite son lied in that infamous BBC Newsnight interview with Emily Maitlis when he claimed he never had any contact with Jeffrey Epstein.
Well, I ceased contact with him after I was aware that he was under investigation, and that was later on in 2006.
Oh, in a further extraordinary revelation that's set to rock the monarchy, the messages from 2011 also reportedly read, "Keep in touch and we'll play some more soon." That was Andrew to Epstein. Keep in touch and we'll play some more soon. He was meant to have ceased all contact with them. So where does the royal family go from here? Is it time maybe to strip the Duke of York of his remaining royal titles and, I argue, send him packing to the Tower of London? Joining me in Washington DC is my panel, political commentator Hilary Fordwich and the deputy US editor of the Daily Telegraph, Connor Stringer. Welcome back, panel. Hilary, let's start with you. Your reaction, please, again, for any new viewers tonight tuning into this breaking news about Prince Andrew.
Well, obviously it's ghastly. We all saw that interview. We all know what's happened in the past. I think this is what needs to happen going forward. King Charles is looking increasingly weak and feeble by not acting. And I know that it's this complex process and, it has to be a parliamentary act to remove his titles. But the City of York doesn't want him to be the Duke of York anymore. The City of York should work with Parliament and the King and immediately, yes, his title should be removed. Yes, he should no longer have a life of privilege. And it's such a pity because we had talked about earlier about the Perfumo affair. Perfumo went and volunteered for charities for years, and it took him many, many years, and he actually did somewhat rehabilitate himself. Prince Andrew has done nothing to show that he has any kind of culpability, let alone any remorse, and he should be doing something to show that he has remorse, and King Charles should act.
Well, what should he do to show remorse? Like what?
Well, not be driving around and not playing golf and not be going around Windsor Castle and not driving around the grounds. He should be serving somewhere, digging ditches for some charity, helping somebody somewhere, doing something to help somebody somewhere, and they should remove all of his titles.
Digging ditches, maybe metaphorically his own ditch, Connor.
Well, absolutely. I'm not sure any charity would take him back at this point. I mean, like his former wife, Bogie, herself, obviously has been caught up in this now for some time. I mean, it just keeps getting worse and worse for Prince Andrew, and as Hilary said, the stain of the monarchy now is becoming greater and greater. I'm very interested in how this will play across America. The FBI, of course, dropped their investigation into Prince Andrew and his links to Epstein earlier this year. I mean, there's more and more emails coming out now in the last couple of weeks and months as further evidence of his relationship with the disgraced paedophile. I mean, surely it's time, if this Trump administration is keen and transparent to get to the bottom of everything Epstein was doing, that they have a look at Prince Andrew again.
Interesting. I mean, that would really get him sweating. I mean, do you believe he doesn't sweat, Prince Andrew?
No, right. Everything that he said in there was farcical. And in fact, actually, they say that it was his daughters that encouraged him to do that interview. They must be feeling rather ghastly right now as well.
Yeah, or maybe, I mean, surely you can't put the blame on them. They just don't lie. I mean, that's for Dad, just don't lie. Don't be a scandalous liar. I mean, of course, Prince Andrew denies all allegations of previous wrongdoing, of course, and we're yet to hear back from the Duke of York's team for comment. But I think, Connor, this puts the monarchy, King Charles, in a very sticky situation because the public will be having an eagle eye on how the royal family responds here. I predict tomorrow, Sunday, or later today, it's nearly 1 in the morning, we'll have a response from Buckingham Palace on this. I think they really need to react. Or do you think maybe they'll just close ranks and hope it goes away?
Look, if we're judging by the form of the Palace and their usual MO, it will be to close ranks and just let this one blow over. I am sure they will be digging around and trying to get a sense of what's more to come here to try and get ahead of anything potentially damaging. I mean, the question is what to do next. I mean, surely now this continued silence from Andrew is proving more damaging than he has saying something. Although saying that, the last time he did an interview and came out and said something, here we are. It worse. Turns into disaster, made it completely worse.
He just makes it worse. I think the person that's absolutely livid about this is Prince William.
Oh, Prince William, yeah. I mean,
because he's the one with the spine.
Yeah. Yeah, and on Prince William, on that point, I'm glad. I mean, it looks like the future of the monarchy is in safe hands with Prince William.
And Princess Catherine too.
Yeah. If you're just tuning in tonight on The Late Show Live on GB News, hope you've had a good night, whatever you've been up to, out and about, I hope, enjoying yourself, filling your boots on the town. If you've just tuned in, you have tuned into a massive world-exclusive story breaking in the Mail on Sunday tomorrow. Let's see if we can get the front page up. Prince Andrew wrote emails to Jeffrey Epstein long after he claimed he'd ceased all contact with Epstein, saying, we are in this together, in reference to that picture being released of Andrew and his accuser, the late Virginia Giuffre, and also saying that he was concerned about the impact the picture would have on his friend, Jeffrey Epstein, but they'd rise above the press scrutiny. According to the Mail on Sunday, This is definitive proof that Prince Andrew lied in his interview with the BBC's Newsnight when he claimed he never had any contact with them. There's the front page on the screen now. World exclusive. Andrew to Epstein. We are in this together. How embarrassing. What a disgrace. How embarrassing for the royal family. How embarrassing for King Charles. And beyond anything, forget Epstein, forget, Virginia Giuffre, God bless her late soul. This just shows how dense Andrew is.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's just thick, let's be honest. He's thick. He's a liability to the royal family.
Well, he's disgusting. And again, it's up to King Charles to now act. He is now, in the public opinion polls, he is plummeting because of this.
Yeah, well, hopefully we get a response from Buckingham Palace later today. Prince Andrew, of course, we've asked him for comment tonight. He is stumm for the time being, but he's previously denied all allegations levied against him with regards to his accuser. Also breaking on the Late Show Live tonight, Downing Street has confirmed the Prime Minister, our dear Sir Keir Starmer, will travel to Egypt to attend the Middle East Peace Summit on Monday. Tonight, in an official press release from Downing Street, seen by GB News, it's expected that Sir Keir will use the trip to, quote, pay particular tribute to the leadership of President Trump. But after Boris Johnson said this about the Prime Minister and his actions on the Middle East last night, did Keir Starmer help or hinder the Gaza situation?
Look, I honestly, you can delete this because it's late night, but it's a fart in the gale, right? Prematurely recognising a state when it doesn't really exist makes no sense.
Yeah, and also,
in my view,
has Britain's standing on the world stage been diminished, and are we now, I'm afraid to suggest, just a spare part when it comes to international diplomacy, especially when the Prime Minister was making these comments about the President back in 2016.
His comments are so offensive. Of course, I wouldn't want Donald Trump round for dinner. That is absolutely repugnant. We should be guided by our own values and not those of Donald Trump.
How embarrassing for Keir Starmer to stand there and say, I wouldn't have this man round for dinner, he's repugnant, and now travelling, going on yet another foreign jolly abroad to the Middle East to pay tribute to President Trump. How embarrassing for Keir Starmer, amongst the litany of other embarrassing things. Well, let's get the take of author and geopolitical expert Bill Gasti. Bill, good evening. Thanks for your company. The question we're posing tonight, Bill, is Britain's impact on the world stage. Are we just a spare part now in the grand scheme of things?
Well, it looks like it. You're talking about the scandal, right? And then you're talking about your Prime Minister not doing the right thing. And by the way, that scandal has something to do with my partner, Daphne Barak. That's the other story, right?
Great story.
Now,
yeah. Well done to her.
Yes, well, you'll have her tomorrow, I guess. But you made the point. It is time for Trump to shine, and he already shined. And he's with his friends. He has friends. He's one of his friends is Turkish Prime Minister, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. They've been working together a long time, and Britain is, out of EU, finally should be free to make its move in the international area, free of the bondage of the EU. As you know, EU is the, that's the policy that is not working, and Trump's policy is moving along. That's how Gaza is coming to a resolution. Hopefully, that's how Ukraine is going to come to a resolution. Look, Trump also took credit in the Armenian and Azerbaijani peace element, Zengezur corridor. The point is, America is in the picture because of Trump, and he's making the difference. That's how it's taken over the scene.
Okay. Are we out of the picture because of Starmer then?
Are we what?
Is the UK out of the picture because of Starmer? If America's in the picture because of President Trump, is the UK out of the picture because of Keir Starmer?
No, I mean, yes, UK is a great country, and it will never be out of the picture. But at this stage, the stage belongs to Trump and his partners in the Middle East. They are the ones who are going to go to Gaza, make sure that the Gaza starts new. With there's peace, there is build-up, there's a new beginning, and UK, I'm sure UK will be part of it. UK is a great country, and no one is going to disregard the UK. But the leadership is with Trump right now, and President Erdogan takes great role in it, and all the other leaders. It's a new world order. It's a different world. It's not the 19th century anymore, as you know.
Yeah. Bill, just finally, what do you make of the fact that we just played the clips there? Keir Starmer saying President Trump wouldn't be welcome round for dinner. I'm sure he wouldn't want to go anyway. Calling him all sorts of names and critiquing him, and now he's pretty much sucking up to him on the world stage. I mean, is there I think it's embarrassing. Is that, or is it just par for the course for politics and politicians?
No, this is normal. You see, leader, now everybody has to jump on board with Trump, and he's the leader. Even these people who denied him from the Nobel Peace Prize this year, and they will be irrelevant the way they are behaving it. When they gave something when Obama did not do anything, and they didn't give anything when Biden started 2 wars, and this guy is making peace, at least bringing people to the table. So it is, I mean, what your prime minister is doing is great. He's jumping on the bandwagon, rightly so, without being late. And as a politician, he can take any position anytime he wants. But at this time, he's doing the right thing. It's Nova. You should go back to the royal scandal right now. That's the story. You know, that's a big problem for you guys and for the world to take care of it. And Dafti Barak, as you know, my partner, had something to do with it. In the peace process, we're going to talk about it tomorrow or the next day when a Gaza agreement fully goes into working condition. You know, they're going to sort it out, whatever they need to sort it out. President Trump will go there, sign another agreement they will sign before him. So they'll solidify the agreement. After that, we'll see what happens. But right now, you have 48 hours to deal with your own scandal, right?
Yeah, all right. Yeah, we have covered Daphne's story. It's great, leading all the newspapers. There we go. I mean, it's a groundbreaking story. We led the show at the 12 o'clock hour tonight. It's top of the show tonight. Great story, and we'll continue discussing it. Erbil, thank you for your company. Really appreciate it. Erbil Gasti. We'll speak soon. Joining me in Washington, D.C. is my panel, the political commentator Hilary Fordwich and the deputy US editor of The Telegraph, Connor Stringer. Can I just remind you guys, because I love that compilation that my great team, Evan, who's working tonight, top producer, well done Evan, got this compilation together of Keir Starmer's comments about President Trump. Take a look at this again.
His comments are so offensive. Of course, I wouldn't want Donald Trump round for dinner. That is absolutely repugnant. We should be guided by our own values and not those of Donald Trump.
Now, Hilary, he's going to Egypt to suck up to President Trump and say what a great job he's done.
Yes, actually, grovel, grovel. What I would think, though, is personally that it's really sad when you think how far we've come from or declined since the Balfour Declaration. You know, 1917, we were the leaders of the world. We established the state of Palestine. That was the secretary there, Balfour with Rothschild. And you think about we were leading the world, and now, yes, it's Donald Trump. I will say he's the president of peace, and I think he deserves every accolade. Really sad, though, that he wasn't given the Nobel Peace Prize, despite the fact that he's actually now basically solved about almost 8 wars.
8 wars. Yeah, I think it was just. I think it just came late in the day, the Gaza one, didn't it?
But I will say this: that the lady that did receive it, she actually gave it an honour to Donald Trump when she accepted it. Which
she did, and I think Trump today, Connor. Maybe you won't know, maybe you do. I think Trump said that the lady who won, she's Venezuelan.
Yeah.
She apparently called Trump. Yeah. And pretty much said this peace prize is for you, President.
Well, when she accepted it.
Yeah, but Trump jokingly saying, well, she didn't actually give it to me.
Yeah, right.
In his typical manner. Look, there's without a doubt that this whole peace process is entirely due to President Trump's work. For months and years, there's been a stalemate on this. Nobody's been able to get it done. And the president has come in his business-like fashion. He's ruffled feathers along the way, but he's got it done. Something obviously that Starmer was and others weren't able to do. Biden definitely wasn't able to do it. And so I think he has to get all testament to him and credit for it.
What about Starmer, though? Does he not look embarrassed?
I mean, I think Britain...
He looks weak,
I mean, I think there's an element where the messaging has been completely conflicted, hasn't it? We've been dealing with pro-Palestine marches in the streets on the same day where we had that awful terror attack in Manchester. Starmer, of course, made the decision to recognise Palestine as a state, much to the annoyance of allies in Israel. I mean, he's not going to be welcome with open arms, let's put it that way.
So, Hilary, breaking in the last few moments, the official press release from Downing Street, sent by GB News tonight, sent by our team, It's expected that Keir Starmer will, quote, use the trip in Egypt to pay particular tribute to the leadership of President Trump.
Of course, he has to. Of course, because
or else what?
Because Donald Trump is leading the world. He's leading in trade, he's leading in politics, he's leading in peace, he's leading in absolutely every aspect. You tell me how he isn't leading. And also, don't forget, he had a mandate here in the United States. He won the electoral vote, he won the popular vote, he won all the swing states. There were no counties that were turned by Democrats. So he's got the major support of the US people, and I think it's a force to be reckoned with. And also, what's so wonderful is that after basically 3,000 years, no one else has solved this in the Middle East, and he's coming in and doing so.
And you know what? Even the likes of Hillary Clinton in the last 24 hours
she did,
praising President Trump, saying, what a success.
If you're winning with Hillary Clinton, I think you're on to a winner there. He's obviously doing something right.
Right.
Well, it might be fashionable now to be MAGA and praising Trump, but I was fond of Trump way back in 2016,
Ditto.
so I'm an OG. Were you an OG as well?
Ditto. Yep.
Yeah.
I was on the Mark Dolan show and actually predicted that he would win when nobody else was saying that he would win. And you know how I knew? When in Chicago, this was before the election, in Chicago, they had the Thanksgiving, the year before the election, they had 8,000 illegals were housed in Chicago, and the local people, the mainly black community in Chicago, went to that centre, and all they wanted was one free meal after them getting free food for 6 months, free housing for 6 months. They were denied, and they all turned, and I said, that's when I knew he would be elected.
Yeah, I wonder what David Lammy would say if he was still Foreign Secretary. Who's Foreign Secretary now? Yvette Cooper. Yeah,
Yep.
It would be great if David Lammy was forced to go over there and...
do the same thing, grovel.
Do you know what would have been great? If President Trump, at this Egypt Peace Summit, if David Lammy... Well, do it with Starmer, actually. Play that clip we just played. Maybe we can send it to the White House. Play the clip he just played on a massive projector.
Yeah.
In front of the delegation. We'll play it one more time. Play this clip on a massive projector and then look to Keir Starmer and say, oh, how times have changed. Let's have one more reminder because it's so good. Let's play it again.
Is.
His comments are so offensive. Of course, I wouldn't want Donald Trump round for dinner. That is absolutely repugnant. We should be guided by our own values and not those of Donald Trump.
He's so repugnant, he's so vile. Oh, we love you, President Trump. Right, still ahead on The Late Show Live.
Donald Trump engaged in deceptive business practices and tremendous fraud. Donald Trump falsely, knowingly, inflated his net worth by billions of dollars to unjustly enrich himself, his family, and to cheat the system.
Another one with Trump derangement syndrome. Her name is Letitia James. She is a political enemy of President Trump, and she's, surprise, surprise, been indicted for fraud. She was the one, and I think she's a Soros-funded DA, she was the one who went after Trump in New York with the business loans lawfare scandal. So the big question now is, should President Trump use his own lawfare to get back at his opponents? Because that woman has been indicted tonight for fraud. President Trump would say they used it against him first, of course. Also tonight, we have tomorrow's front pages, including the news that Rachel Reeves will tax the hell out of the rich to fill that infamous black hole. Does the black hole even exist? I don't know anymore. This is The Late Show Live, only on GB News. In this second hour, you lucky so-and-sos. Right, here's a good story for you to get your teeth stuck into. Letitia James, she's a Democrat who's clashed with President Trump and previously sued him and his administration dozens of times, has been indicted for fraud. The New York Attorney General has been accused of lying on a mortgage application after the president demanded a case against her. And when President Trump swept back into the White House in January, he promised retribution against his political enemies. After all, he believed lawfare, of course, was initially being used against him. So the question I'm posing tonight is it right for Trump to use lawfare to get revenge on his enemies? Well, let's get the take of American lawyer Carol Kilgore. Carol, good morning, good evening. Is President Trump using lawfare? And some would argue, even me, that they tried to kill him. They impeached him two or three times. They tried to send him to jail for life. They tried to destroy his businesses. They pretty much destroyed his first term. From a human perspective, whether you like Trump or not, can you blame him for going after his political enemies like this?
Well, yeah, I mean, you make very good points there, Ben, about, and one reason that the lefties are seizing on to the past history of the feud between Letitia James and Donald Trump as a potential reasoning or political or just vendetta score settling justification. But actually, when you look at the facts, if they've actually got the facts that they think they do, the Federal Housing Finance Authority was actually responsible for writing to the U.S. Attorney General to suggest that it was right and proper to go ahead and initiate prosecution against Letitia James. And the facts, that they were able to achieve the indictment on are really startling. I mean, you can't even become a lawyer in New York if you have an unpaid speeding ticket. And Letitia James, as the senior legal enforcement officer of the state of New York, according to 12 of her peers, there's probable cause to believe that she actually committed at least two, potentially 3 counts of mortgage fraud and bank fraud, including stating on her mortgage application that she intended to use it as her primary residence. And as the state Attorney General of New York, she was elected in 2018. That application was made in 2020. Now, she well knew that she could not use it as her primary residence because the property was in a different state. It was in Virginia. So that shows a specific intent to defraud the banks.
Yeah.
And not only was it private banks that were defrauded, the Federal Housing Finance Authority, the loans, some of the finance that she applied for was actually taxpayer funded by the U.S. taxpayer. In 1983,
as far as I remember, sorry to interrupt, as far as I remember, those banks, even in court, said we have no problem with the loans that we gave Donald Trump. So, I mean, the whole case to me was completely bent, and of course it was lawfare. Carol, I'm just going to bring my DC panel in. They've got some questions for you, if you don't mind. It's the political commentator Hilary Fordwich and the deputy US editor of the Daily Telegraph, Connor Stringer. Who'd like to go first? Ladies first, Hilary.
Well, no, what I would say is I have a question with regard to what Letitia James said. She said no one is above the law. Of course, in the UK, we have two-tier Keir. In other words, two-tier sort of justice in the UK. In America, again, no one should be above the law, but she shouldn't be above the law. All the things you just said, she actually did break the law. So I don't look at this as political revenge. There should be no judge that should be using political motives. She went after him politically. She stated that. What are your thoughts in the terms of this is not political revenge? This is just administering the law.
Well, it will obviously go to the district court in Virginia to be decided. Now, if you'd like to think that judges in America are not politically motivated, I mean, I have a beach house in Nevada to sell you because this when the judge is going to be hearing the case is actually a Biden appointee. He's got a very strong record, however, in fraud cases. So I would hope he'd be impartial. But as you point out, this is if the allegations are true, it's fraud. It's blatant and she's shown a pattern of, if it's all true, of fraud dating back to even 1983 when she bought her first property. Apparently, she put her father on the mortgage as her husband. Now, as a single lady in her early 20s, she would not have been able to get a loan, a mortgage, I would imagine, without having a second income of a husband. And so if she did that, that is blatant fraud. And it's also kind of rubbing the noses in people's face of people who live in New York who can't afford to get on the property ladder. And here is the person who's supposed to be enforcing the laws, lying, cheating to get a mortgage, to get on the property ladder. Beggars belief, really, if it's true.
Connor?
Well, I'm intrigued as to see what you think about the political temperature, actually, and whether you think this only adds to the heat that we're seeing in this country at the moment. I mean, in the aftermath of Charlie Kirk, there was kind of collective consensus we need to tone things down. Is this consistent lawfare and persistent lawfare helpful for that?
I think it depends on how you look at it. I think one thing that Trump is very good at well, he's very politically astute, obviously, is what he's doing is, I think, marshalling his allies, many of whom are attorney generals of various states or districts, as well as people in the FBI. So he's got the DOJ, the Department of Justice, and the FBI. He's got his allies on side in those agencies. So he's playing the cards quite right. If you think this is going to heighten tensions, you're right. I think it probably will. It probably will polarize. The senior leaders at the top of different agencies, just from reading a few legal blogs, a lot of my fellow lawyers, a lot of my peer groups are already siding with Letitia James. So it's going to play out really, I think it'd be very interesting.
Okay. Carol, thank you so much for your company and for your analysis tonight. Appreciate it. Have a great Sunday, whatever you're up to tomorrow. Thank you. Do you know what it is for me? Look, Letitia James has to go through the judicial process, but for me it's proof yet again that the left just projects. They project when they call people racist. They project when they call people fascists, the so-called anti-fascists going around, well, you're a fascist, you're a fascist. They project when they go around accusing people of fraud and this and that. They are the very thing they moan, cry and bitch about day in, day out to the right. Correct. They just project. Yep. No, simple as that. Proof. Proof. gbnews.com/your say. Ralph, well, let's get some of your says. Osman, you said Starmer's a disgrace and a Blair puppet. Blair, check out Panama Papers. Yeah. Any more? Stuart says, or Jackie says, yes, can we go back to the scandal that is Keir Starmer? He never in a million years has any place at that signing. What signing? Has done nothing substantial for peace anywhere. Oh, sorry, the Egypt signing, of course. He has no place in Egypt, basically. Stay at home, Keir Starmer. Thank you for those. gbnews.com/your say, and thank you for panel on that. Still ahead on The Late Show Live. Pro-Palestine protesters have gathered. Of course, they have yet again in London. And another development when it comes to China. The Telegraph, Connor, your paper, is reporting that British intelligence agencies were prevented from directly submitting spying concerns about the proposed Chinese super embassy in London. Have we got a China problem? I'd say yes. This is The Late Show Live. There's no breaks. Back in just a second.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's a foggy start out there for some of us, but the sunshine will slowly break through as we go through the course of the day. Apart from in northern Scotland, where it will stay pretty damp, so some outbreaks of light rain and drizzle perhaps here for much of the day, particularly for the Northern Isles. Quite cloudy for Northern Ireland as well, but largely dry. The best of the sunshine this afternoon across central and southern parts of Scotland, northern England, Wales, and more southern parts of the UK having a much sunnier picture this afternoon compared to yesterday too. So after the early fog has cleared this morning, temperatures will lift in that sunshine up to 16, perhaps as high as 18 degrees Celsius by this afternoon, so feeling fairly pleasant with the light winds. It won't be quite as warm though across northern parts of Scotland, where after a fairly cloudy and murky day with some bits and pieces of drizzle, it will be once again a cloudy evening. So here generally staying quite cloudy right the way through the course of the night. Some late sunshine for western parts of Scotland. Northern Ireland probably brightening up a little bit through the afternoon, but fairly cloudy skies here also into the evening. Clear skies though for Wales and western parts of England, at least as we go through Sunday evening. But gradually, as we go through the course of the coming night, we are going to see an area of cloud once again just returning from the North Sea, spreading its way westwards into western parts of England and Wales by the time we get to the early hours of Monday morning. So that cloud acting like a blanket, keeping temperatures from falling too low tonight. So lows of 8 to 11 degrees Celsius in the main towns and cities. But some patchy fog and some rural frost across parts of Scotland to begin the day on Monday morning. So here, away from the fog, probably the brightest conditions on Monday with some sunny spells and fairly nice and sunny conditions across parts of the far north of England too on Monday. Brightening up for Northern Ireland as well by the afternoon, but most of England and Wales having a slightly cooler and certainly a much gloomier picture on Monday compared to on Sunday. Temperatures down by a degree or so, but in the best of the sunshine, highs of 15 to 17 degrees Celsius.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
With me, Ben Leo, on this glorious Saturday night. Let's have one more reminder of the newspapers hitting your shelves tomorrow, starting with the big one, the Mail on Sunday. The day after the Mail published a photo of Prince Andrew and his accuser, and long after he claims to have cut ties with Jeffrey Epstein, Prince Andrew said in an email to the disgraced paedophile billionaire, "We are in this together. Dear, oh dear." This is going to absolutely blow up tomorrow. I expect, maybe I'm wrong, I expect to hear from the palace at some point. The Sun tomorrow, the Sun on Sunday. Prince Andrew emailed Epstein after he'd cut ties, days after the infamous Virginia Giuffre picture emerged. And the Express tomorrow, Daily Express. Chancellor Rachel Reeves is eyeing up a £7 billion tax raid on pensions in a desperate bid to plug a black hole in her budget. How about not giving away $14 billion to public sector workers? How about not spending $22 billion on a carbon capture scheme, which even eco-loons don't like? How about not sending $14 billion to Africa for climate projects? I could go on and on. The Telegraph reports Russia may have been behind the Jaguar Land Rover hack, and intelligence on China embassy threat has been left out of an official review. So this is the story about the mega Chinese embassy that's being built in London. It's all very shady. According to planning documents, we're not allowed to know what's going on in the basement and the lower floors of this Chinese embassy. God knows what's going on. But now we learn from the Sunday Telegraph that MI6, MI5, GCHQ and the National Cyber Security Centre weren't allowed to give evidence about national security risks when it came to building this embassy. Why the hell not? I don't know. This China situation just gets worse and worse. More on that in just a minute. The Washington Post reports that more than 1,000 CDC staff will receive layoff notices during the government shutdown. The CDC, of course, is the Centre for Disease Control and Prevention. The government shutdown means that government workers basically aren't working, but 1,000 CDC staff will receive layoff notices. President Trump has ordered the Defense Department, now known, of course, as the Department for War, to issue military paychecks during shutdown. He posted on Truth Social that he wants to make sure the military personnel are paid despite the government shutdown. And the New York Post, Hollywood legend Diane Keaton has sadly died aged 89. She, of course, was the legendary star of Annie Hall and Father of the Bride. Let me know your thoughts on those. gbnews.com/your say. For the final time, let's get the thoughts of Charlotte Griffith, the editor-at-large of the Mail on Sunday. And Charlotte, your newspaper, of course, leading the headlines. It's going to keep running. Great scoop for your paper. Just remind us one more time for viewers who have just come in from a boozy night out what the story is and your thoughts, please.
Well, the story is that Andrew did stay in contact with Epstein, and he sent an email to Epstein saying, "We're in this together." Now, this was long after his claim on Newsnight that he cut Epstein off. He was pictured, Andrew, in New York meeting with Epstein, and he said later on Newsnight with Emily Maitlis in 2019, "Well, I was only in New York to break off my friendship with Epstein." But what we see now is that several weeks later, he was still in touch. And not only that, but he was saying, let's keep in close touch in the future. And worryingly, he seemed to think that both he and Epstein together could rise above the saga with Virginia Giuffre, with whom Andrew was pictured.
OK, yeah, it's going to pose massive headaches for the likes of King Charles. I argue the government as well. Does Keir Starmer, does Downing Street need to get involved? Will they be speaking privately maybe to King Charles about this? I mean, aside from being a disgrace, Prince Andrew is an embarrassment on the world stage to Great Britain at the moment, and we've got enough problems on our plate, I argue. Charlotte, can we look at the Sunday Telegraph tomorrow? This massive story on China involving the embassy they're trying to build in London. It's another shocking development on the China saga. So British intelligence agencies were prevented, get this, from directly submitting spying concerns about the proposed super embassy in London. It's claimed that MI5, MI6, GCHQ, etc. were prevented from doing so because their evidence would also be disclosed to Beijing. The embassy had prompted a whole assortment of national security warnings from our spooks, with some even warning of a spy dungeon in the basement of the building. Well, at least it's not another kind of dungeon. The White House has also warned Keir Starmer that the failure, and this is a big one tonight actually, the White House has also warned Keir Starmer that the failure to prosecute 2 alleged spies in Britain accused of spying for China risks undermining the special relationship and could threaten intelligence sharing between Britain and the US. Charlotte, I'm going to introduce my panel now, the Daily Telegraph's Connor Stringer and Hilary Fordwich, political commentator and journalist. Connor, this story, a great story, by the way, from your paper, the Sunday Telegraph. This is insane, this China scandal. Just explain, please, what's going on here.
So, I mean, so this is, like you said, the latest in Labour's China issue and their inability to call China an enemy. It looks like in this case, so while they were putting in planning permission to build this super embassy, which would be China's largest in Europe, in London, that the intelligence agencies were kind of stopped from handing over evidence and their kind of intelligence to suggest how much of a threat China would be, because it would be handed over to Beijing. And this is yet another example of the headache now Labour are having in being able to categorise and say if Beijing are an enemy. All this, of course, stemmed from the fact that the spy trial collapsed last week over the government's refusal to call and label Beijing an enemy.
Yeah, just insane. And Hilary, tonight the White House and officials gone on the record pretty much, a source from the White House has raised concerns about the spy trial collapsing in the UK, the fact that the Labour government is embroiled in this China scandal, and suggesting that Britain is now a liability when it comes to sharing intelligence and national security.
Well, of course, because there's the Five Eyes, and don't forget the Five Eyes are the nations that share intelligence, of which the UK is one of them, and you can no longer share very sensitive information if there's these concerns. Remember, of course, don't forget there was all the incidents with regard to Huawei and putting in technology that would have been also developed by the Chinese. I think this is a very, very scary part, because if you collapse that Five Eyes coalition, it is very dangerous for the UK.
Yes.
Greatest ally, the US.
Yeah, indeed. Charlotte, Heather on your say has said, why aren't we allowed to know more about these rooms and tunnels, Ben, in the Chinese embassy? Everyone is shouting about it. It all sounds very dodgy. Do you think it sounds dodgy?
Well, just a little bit dodgy. There's 2 floors, this absolutely huge embassy, and vast swathes of it. Most of its footprint will be these kind of dark, shady rooms. I think it's extraordinary. And also, just to Heather's point, I think it's so interesting, given that the state banquet we've just had, the absolute red carpet we've just rolled out for Donald Trump to woo America, and then to sort of undermine it by, aggravating them over China. It just seems insane to me.
OK. Charlotte, thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Charlotte Griffith, the editor-at-large of the Mail on Sunday. Thanks for your company tonight. Great analysis as well, and I know the viewers very much appreciate you. Panel, do you want to talk about very quickly this Russia hack? Again, the Sunday Telegraph, your paper on a roll at the moment, scoop after scoop. Russia may have been behind the Jaguar Land Rover hack.
Yeah, well, exactly that. I mean, another example of Russian influence, on our shores. I mean, if this isn't a sign that we need to be upping our defence spending and doing everything we can to prevent attacks like this happening, then I don't know what is. Jaguar Land Rover, of course, have been hit tremendously hard by the tariffs today. They've been struggling, and now they've been set back with another hack. This is something that I'm sure they're having conversation with the government about, and to get reassurances that it doesn't happen again. Asking for the kind of provisions to get them back on the road. Good pun there.
No pun.
Well done.
Some
of my finest work. Some of my finest work.
That well.
I have up the top drawer, that is. And so I think they'll be lobbying hard to get answers to how this happened, and answers as the preventions that are in place to stop it happening again.
I don't see many Jaguar Land Rover vehicles this side of the ponds.
Oh, there are. I think there are.
Actually, I saw a Defender today. That's about the first time in 5 weeks.
Yeah, there's plenty of Defenders. But I would say let's get in gear here. The Labour government needs to get in gear with what's happening in terms of all this spying, because this is not going to be good, especially, like you said, with the tariffs.
Yeah. Are you a JLR fan? Do you like their cars?
So, I don't have one, but yes.
Favourite JLR car, Jaguar or Range Rover?
No, I do think Jaguars are lovely, absolutely lovely. I like the traditional ones, actually.
You can't beat a Defender, can you?
Well, I like the new Defenders. My only problem with new Land Rover cars is they are just notoriously, their reputation has gone down the pan.
No. And can I tell you something? It's 7 or 10 presses of technology just to have the heat on in the winter when you were in the car the last time and the heat was on. All these different. But why do they make it so complex? No.
Yeah, I do like the new sort of Land Rovers and Defenders and Range Rovers, but they're just, as I said, the reputation.
They're a fiddle, actually.
Fast falling down the pan, and it's a shame because, of course, the Queen was a fan of the
traditional Range Rovers.
Yeah, the old school Defenders.
Old Land Rovers, yeah. And she drove the King of Arabia around. Remember that all around Balmoral?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh God, I miss the Queen. I miss the Queen. Wonder what she'll be saying today about Prince Andrew. Let's look at another story inside the papers tomorrow. Universities with a record of poor teaching, probably all of them, will be forced to charge lower tuition fees under government plans. So Labour's reportedly considering making institutions that are found to be offering inadequate teaching charge less than the standard fees. The ranking of the universities is judged by students' experience of teaching and also assessment, resources and support, as well as graduate outcomes. Should low-performing universities, Hillary, be charged less?
Yes, I mean,
cap of £9,000 a year brought down.
There actually should be a standard. If there was a sliding scale, and I tell you something, if teachers and professors weren't compensated unless they had certain standards and scores, just like in business, if you don't perform, you aren't compensated, we would see such an improvement in terms of performance.
Yeah.
Directly correlated, should be.
Did you go to uni?
I did, yeah. I went to Bournemouth with some of your colleagues actually work at this great broadcaster as well. I mean, it is exactly that. I mean, like, universities are constantly pleading to raise fees and pressuring for more and more money, whereas some of these universities, as you know, do very well, are giving out what we call, phony degrees that require, little work and actually requiring ridiculous amounts of money.
And people can't get jobs.
Exactly.
There aren't jobs afterwards.
Why are we spending so much money on sending kids to school, racking up huge amounts of debt for degrees that you can't literally get a job for?
And you know what they say, millionaires are going to be plumbers and electricians because those are the jobs that won't be replaced by
They already are.
anytime soon.
They already are. I did a podcast earlier in the week and I told it was Will Kingston actually, his podcast. I said, and I was guilty of this at school, and I blame the school and the teachers, I was guilty of looking down at my friends, my peers, who left school, shunned college, they went to do an apprenticeship in carpentry, become an electrician or whatever.
And they're going gangbusters now, bet.
Do you know who the most happiest, lucrative people are now in my hometown in Sussex? All the tradies, all the builders, all the sparkies, the carpenters. They've got loads of money, they've got great families.
And it's rewarding what they're doing.
Yeah, it's great. I look at them, I'm getting my house renovated at the moment, I look at the work these guys do, they're so creative, they're hardworking. They're rich, they've got happy families, they're great.
And the issues are running out of them, that's the issue. Nobody's doing it because everyone's being forwarded funds to go to university. So the work, they're mopping it up.
But the way I was indoctrinated at school to look down on these people and go,
they were denigrated.
Yeah, you're not going to college, you're not doing A-levels, you must be a bit stupid or thick. No, I mean, the thick people are those studying gender studies degrees.
Quiet.
Yeah, right. One more inside story in tomorrow's papers. North Korea has flaunted its most powerful nuclear missile at a military parade. That's as leader Kim Jong-un says that the army must keep growing to destroy all threats. The intercontinental ballistic missile was driven along in front of leaders from China and Russia. Very good, Connor. This is great news, isn't it?
I mean, does the thing even work? Do we even know? I mean, they've got a bit of habit of launching a bit of phony missiles, don't they? It's a typical parade, isn't it, from Kim Jong-un. All show, no might, I suspect, is what comes to mind. I mean, let's see. I mean, the thing even works. But regardless, it's still a threat. It's a parade. They want to put it on our radar for obvious reasons.
Oh, yeah, this is all optics.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Should we get President Trump back to North Korea?
Well, he's got a trip coming up.
I think that would be a good thing, yes.
Well, he's got a trip coming up.
Coming up to the Middle East.
Absolutely.
Yes,
and Korea actually coming up. As the Telegraph reported earlier this week, they're dusting off their plans to visit the demilitarized zone in case he decides to do it.
Right.
Really?
Keep an eye out.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow. Some, well, I mean, I'd call it breaking news. Breaking
He doesn't sleep.
Breaking reports tonight. So he could, you reckon, what are the chances he could go back to
Look, it's common. We know the way President Trump operates, right? And he's very much does it on an off-the-whim basis. If he wants to go and do something, he'll go and do something.
He'll do it.
This White House needs to be prepared for every eventuality.
There's the missile on screen, by the way, if you're watching on television.
Yeah, I mean, I like to see, that thing, if that thing even works. But they've got to be prepared for every eventuality. And I'm sure Trump will see images like this and think, Kim, let's calm things down. Do what he did in his first term, shake his hand, and get things off to a better start. He is a president of peace, after all.
Yeah, of course, indeed. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what that looks like. I'm not sure. Right. Earlier today, I went to Philadelphia, of course, to explore the drug crisis in Kensington Avenue. It was a humbling, terrible experience, and the full version will be on GB News YouTube and social media channels later on in the week. Whilst I was there, I didn't want it to all be sort of sad and sombre, so we paid a visit to the very famous steps. Remember in the Rocky film where Rocky Balboa launches himself up the steps to the building, I think it's a museum in Philadelphia. Anyway, long story short, I went there, checked it out, and I challenged a bunch of Americans for a race from bottom to top. Who won, Great Britain or America? Here's a look. I don't think there's going to be anyone in Philly who's beating me on these steps today. I'm offering everyone out. Four out of four. Thank you, man. Good race.
What can we say? I think y'all are healthier.
I'll do. Undefeated on the streets of Philadelphia, taking home for Britain. Save our greatest king. Great Britain, of course, won 4 out of 4. Nobody was beating me. And I said to my cameraman and producer that earlier today, I was in such... I'm not going to blow my own trumpet, but I felt like I could beat anybody on those steps today.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
It was
Britannia.
It was the early celebrations that got me. I think you were... Yeah.
That guy there said I won because I was healthy. I mean, I had a Philly cheesesteak.
Weighing you down still?
On the way home. I don't feel healthy anymore. No. Have you had a Philly cheesesteak?
Oh, I do, and I'm guilty. I do enjoy it.
And then you had your cancer in the can on top of it.
Yeah.
What, the Diet Coke?
Oh, please.
Come on then, let's have this out.
Ben.
So, are we talking about aspartame here, the sweeteners?
No, you really shouldn't have any chemicals. Like, if you can't name the tree or the plant, do not consume it. Really seriously, you mustn't.
I used to be like you. I didn't drink any aspartame, any artificial sweeteners. I've changed my mind. I just intuitively.
You have to stop.
I get it, but equally, I want to enjoy a little Diet Coke from time to time or something like that.
Have something fruity.
It's not the same. It's not the same.
And I've certainly drunk more fizzy drinks, diet drinks, since I've been in the US, so I'm blaming America. Anyway, let's move on. One last story. Despite President Trump's peace deal in Gaza, protesters once again took to the streets of London today to vent their anger at Israel. Tens of thousands of them gathered to mark 2 years of the war in Gaza. Many chanted that Israel is a terrorist state, quote unquote, and the new sort of anthem of these protesters, death, death to the IDF, as well as the usual chants from to the river, to the sea. I asked protesters in New York City when I was there earlier this week, Connor, whether there'd be a need for these protests anymore. We've got a ceasefire coming, the hostages are being released. The slaughter, the tragic, horrible slaughter of civilians and kids in Gaza and Israel is coming to an end, hopefully. So why the protests? Why are these going on?
It's a good question. It's a tough one. I mean, for years and for months that we've seen these protests going on and on and on and taking to the streets, and every time calling for some kind of humanitarian aid and ceasefire. We finally got it, yet we're still having them. I mean, do these people not have a job to go to? It's bizarre as to why they're doing this.
No, I actually totally agree with you. And also, they're on the wrong side. Who started this? What happened on October 7th? I went to Israel. We were there with another network, and Ambassador Huckabee and President Herzog. We went to where the concert was. We went and saw, and one of the things that horrified me, I'd always heard about Hamas and all the soldiers coming over. Do you know, after that, there was a wave of civilians that did the same thing for fun and came over? And you heard those tapes of these young men calling back to their families and how their mothers were so proud and their fathers were so proud. This is a cult of death, and I think it's very sad that people are protesting in their favour when they really realise what happened.
Can I post you an argument that the pro-Pali lot were telling me in New York? I mean, one guy, by the way, was waving a Hamas flag. Others were calling for a repeat of October the 7th.
Goodness me.
We've got the clip, actually. Let's take a quick look. This is me in New York on Monday. So, hello, you've got your sign again. I found you again. Just show the camera, please. Show our viewers back in Britain. What does it say?
It says that Muhammad was a proud trans woman. I didn't get to put proud trans lesbian, but trans lesbian.
What are you talking about? What do you mean Muhammad was trans?
Prophet Muhammad was the first trans woman. She was a beautiful trans lesbian.
According to what?
According to the Quran.
Okay, and you're with the pro-Palestine lot, are you?
Yes, I am very pro-Palestine. I will not stop fighting until 50% of Gaza's government is trans women.
What do you think would happen to you if you went into Gaza holding that sign?
I don't know, but we need to keep fighting.
I can tell you.
We need trans women to be ruling Gaza.
You'd be thrown off a building, probably.
We need trans women to be in charge of Gaza.
All right, okay. Work that guy out. He must have been trolling. I don't think anybody's that insane. But you know what? Even if he was trolling, the fact that nobody knows for sure is indicative of just how nuts lots of these people are.
Right. No, I mean, I think this is absolutely ludicrous. Well, actually, I think it's just as ludicrous as when you see gays for Hamas, gays for Palestine. They would be stoned to death.
Connor, the argument that I had from those people in New York was that Hillary said this started on October the 7th. They told me this started long before October the 7th. I mean, what's the argument, the response to that?
I mean, nothing excuses a terror attack like October 7th to justify the protests on the streets or the signs we're seeing. It is damn right wrong. It should be totally refuted. And any suggestion that this is some kind of tit for tat for one of the worst terror attacks, worst terror attack since the Holocaust, is a disgrace.
Indeed.
Connor's right. It's not justifiable in any shape or form.
Right. One last question. What's your plans tomorrow?
Golf.
You're playing golf?
But it's going to rain me out, I think.
With President Trump?
It's going to... I wish.
Yeah. No, I think he was playing golf with his granddaughter Kai today. What are you doing tomorrow?
Watching golf and a little bit of gym, I think.
God, okay. What am I doing? I'm getting ready for the show tomorrow. Thank you for your company tonight, guys, on gbnews.com/your say. Let me read some very quick comments. Nick Parsons, good evening, Nick. You said Starmer's very detrimental comments about President Trump is very bad. I hope Trump looks down on Starmer as a piece of anti-British Marxist so-and-so. And Ben, Mrs. Archie said, Ben, you're like a whip it up those steps. Well done, buddy. And Arthur said, Ben, you should have leapt around like Rocky. Or maybe next time. Thank you guys for that. Thank you for spending your night with The Late Show Live. Really appreciate your company. Thank you, of course, to Hillary and Connor, who will be sunning themselves on the golf course tomorrow.
In the rain.
In the rain. I'll be back here, of course, tomorrow night, midnight in the UK till 2 a.m, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And I promise you another jam-packed show. For now, sweet dreams, enjoy your Sunday, and I'll see you tomorrow. Good night.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Box Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's a foggy start out there for some of us, but the sunshine will slowly break through as we go through the course of the day. Apart from in northern Scotland, where it will stay pretty damp, so some outbreaks of light rain and drizzle perhaps here for much of the day, particularly for the Northern Isles. Quite cloudy for Northern Ireland as well, but largely dry. The best of the sunshine this afternoon across central and southern parts of Scotland, northern England, Wales, and more southern parts of the UK having a much sunnier picture this afternoon compared to yesterday too. So after the early fog has cleared this morning, temperatures will lift in that sunshine up to 16, perhaps as high as 18 degrees Celsius by this afternoon, so feeling fairly pleasant with the light winds. It won't be quite as warm though across northern parts of Scotland, where after a fairly cloudy and murky day with some bits and pieces of drizzle, it will be once again a cloudy evening. So here generally staying quite cloudy right the way through the course of the night. Some late sunshine for western parts of Scotland. Northern Ireland probably brightening up a little bit through the afternoon, but fairly cloudy skies here also into the evening. Clear skies though for Wales and western parts of England, at least as we go through Sunday evening. But gradually, as we go through the course of the coming night, we are going to see an area of cloud once again just returning from the North Sea, spreading its way westwards into western parts of England and Wales by the time we get to the early hours of Monday morning. So that cloud acting like a blanket, keeping temperatures from falling too low tonight. So lows of 8 to 11 degrees Celsius in the main towns and cities. But some patchy fog and some rural frost across parts of Scotland to begin the day on Monday morning. So here, away from the fog, probably the brightest conditions on Monday with some sunny spells and fairly nice and sunny conditions across parts of the far north of England too on Monday. Brightening up for Northern Ireland as well by the afternoon, but most of England and Wales having a slightly cooler and certainly a much gloomier picture on Monday compared to on Sunday. Temperatures down by a degree or so, but in the best of the sunshine, highs of 15 to 17 degrees Celsius.
Today, clouds overhead. Total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
I'm Andrew Pearce. This is GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I'm Michael Portillo. This is GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Saturday night, and now this is the Saturday 5 Extra, the UK's biggest Saturday night TV show. I'm Dr. Renee, along with Will Kingston, Cressida Wetton now, Trey Lowe and Kai Wilshaw. Tonight on the show,
Britain's greatest journalist, Alan Partridge, returns to our screens.
why is this horse in the news?
We want your questions on any topic in Ask the Five.
Why is Ronaldo one happy racer? And it's the question you've all been asking. Can asparagus predict the future?
Told you it'll be fun, guys. It's 8 o'clock and this is the Saturday 5 Extra. Welcome to the Saturday 5 Extra. There is still lots more to come tonight, including trigger tantrums. We've got a few more of those. And we'll take you through the most uplifting stories of the week. Plus, we will be speaking to the asparagus fortune teller who predicted Brexit and the Queen's death. Will there be any big predictions made tonight? And of course, we want to know your views as well. Send your views and post your comments by visiting gbnews.com/yoursay. And don't forget to get your questions in. Ask the Five. Put Ask the Five in front, please. No topics are off limit. But before we start tearing each other apart, it's your Saturday night news with Aaron Armstrong.
Thank you very much indeed. Just after 8 o'clock here in the